Hey YouTube, Wes here for Beer Geek Photography, and I wanted to talk today about editing this photo you see here on your screen. We spent the 4th of July over in St. Augustine, Florida. It's always a fun place to go. They have an awesome fireworks show. Just really enjoyed going over there and enjoying spending the day over there and enjoying ourselves. I wanted to share with you an edit of one of the photos I brought back with me that I really like a lot. And that is this photo here you see on your screen of the Castillo de San Marcos, Spanish fort from the early days of Florida, St. Augustine being the America's oldest city, if you want to call it that. But just a really neat place to go, neat historic place to go. Anyway, this is a national monument here in the United States we have. It's a fun place to visit, so wanted to take some photos, took a bunch of photos, and this is a shot I took from outside the fort. I'll go ahead and click on the map here and kind of give you an idea of where we are at once this loads up here. Let's see. Okay, so here you see the fort here. And then I am positioned along this. This is the actual city wall of St. Augustine. There's the city gates there. But there's this wall right here that you can see, and I'm standing right here on the right side of the wall, and there's the fort there, so you can kind of get an idea. The fort is actually quite a good ways away from where I'm standing. So let's go back to the picture here. What I did is I used my 12 to 40 2.8 lens on my Olympus EM10. So 40 is roughly 80 millimeters. So that gives you a good bit of compression, and so you see that the fort looks like it's pretty close here in this picture, but I'm actually zoomed in at 40 millimeters, which is giving some good compression between the wall here up front and the fort itself in the background. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a virtual copy of this. A lot of people seem to really be hesitant about trying photo editing using programs like Lightroom or Photoshop, but it's really a way to really unlock even more of your photos. It's really a big part of photography, is being able to edit. Even back in the film days, the masters edited their photos a lot. So really, it's an important thing to learn. It's not something to be afraid of. You can create as many copies of a photo as you want, and none of the versions destroy the actual original raw file that you shoot. So I can go ahead and, let's see, reset develop settings. So there is the original shot right out of the camera, the raw file. So you see quite a bit different than what the end product looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off here. This is Lightroom CC. This is the $9.99 a month program that you pay for, that you get Lightroom and Photoshop both together. So what I generally start off with, I start off here in the basic adjustments panel, and you just start adjusting things around. Where I like to start is with the highlights and the shadows. I bring the highlights all the way down. I bring the shadows all the way up. That's kind of where I like to start with things. And I'll go ahead and, as you saw in the original photo, this was originally cropped at a 16:9 aspect ratio. Just sort of what I envision with this photo being just sort of a wide sort of look to it, maybe a desktop wallpaper kind of thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and crop this down to a 16:9 like it was there, and everything looks straight along here, so I don't have to do any adjustments as far as the rotation. Nice and straight there. So that is good. Next thing I'll probably do is add a little bit of contrast just to get an idea. It's starting to get there, around 20 to 30, 35, somewhere around there. And then I'll start going in and playing with things like the whites. Maybe increase the whites a bit. Bring down the blacks a little bit. And I do have the clipping turned on, so if I go too far with the whites, things turn red, and that shows me that, of course, that's clipped, so you don't want to see any red or just a very slight hint of red. I just want it a little bit under where stuff starts to blow out is where I kind of want this one to be. Just depends on the photo. Just look at it. Next thing I go for a little bit of clarity. I tend to like the clarity slider quite a bit. Just a nice one to use for me. And then a little bit of vibrance. This just sort of punches up the colors a bit without making them look too cartoonish, in my opinion. And then another thing I noticed is that the sky was kind of plain, where there weren't too many clouds that day. But we do have some clouds here, and I want them to stand out a little more, and I want the sky to be a little more blue. So I'm going to go down here into the color bars and use the saturation and just pull up on the blue saturation a bit. There we go. Get that blue sky to pop out a little bit more, and then this cloud here is showing up a good bit more. So that is pretty good there. Next thing I did is the fort itself. It's just not quite looking how I want it to look. I want it to pop out a little bit more. So what I did is go in with an adjustment brush. I think I did increase the exposure a bit. When you are using a brush, make sure the auto mask is turned on. That way it looks for edges and tries to keep you from overflowing onto the edges. So looks like it did pretty good here. If not, you can always press the Alt button and that turns it into a minus, and you can go back in and erase, and you can use a scroll wheel on your mouse to adjust the size of your brush as well easily. So it's really easy to sort of go in and fix things that you don't like. Give it a little more contrast. That looks pretty good. And since this panel is dealing with the brush itself, it's only adjusting where I brushed, which is really nice. So you can brush on any part of a photo and just adjust that one localized area, which is really nice. You can do a gradient and just adjust that area. I also think I brought the saturation down a bit. There's no color in the fort itself, so you kind of want it to be just sort of grays and blacks and whites. So bring the saturation down. That's starting to look pretty good, and maybe a little bit more sharpness. Bring out that brickwork. So that's pretty good. That's probably not exactly what I did the first time. You know, it's always different. That's how I'm feeling right now. Next thing is we have some people up here walking around on top of the fort. Not really important parts of the photo. Don't really want to see them. So what I will do is go in here and remove them. This is the healing brush, and we're just gonna see if we can't get rid of that guy. And it's pulling from the wall, which is not right. And I don't know why it is doing that. Didn't do that the first time when I edited this photo. Let's see here. Let's just delete that one and try it again. Let's see how. Let's try it like this. Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, I don't know if that's an effect of my screen recording software or whatnot, but normally that would work just fine. Don't know why I'm getting those funny things there. The next thing I noticed is that there's this little weed here inside the top of the wall, and I didn't really like that being there, so I went ahead and got rid of that as well. Sort of a spot removal on that. And that looks pretty good right there. And now the weed is gone. Nobody ever knows it was there. And then sort of go down here to finalize the photo a bit. Going to go into the detail pane. I'm going to give some noise reduction. There's a bit of noise, even though I'm shooting at ISO 200, which is the base ISO for this camera. There's always going to be some noise. And so, you know, 15 or so on the noise, and then for the sharpening I tend to subtract whatever the noise is from 100 and give that much sharpening. It's something I learned from Serge Ramelli, and it seems to work. So, you know, somewhere around 80 or so, 80, 85 on the sharpening should be pretty good. Also with sharpening, if you do sharpen something and there happens to be clouds in the picture, I do recommend using the masking feature. Hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and you want the sky to turn black like that, and anything that's black is not being sharpened, so that means the sky is not being sharpened in this particular picture. So that works pretty well, and I'll go down here into the effects and add a little bit of a vignette. That looks pretty good right there. So that is pretty much this photo edited once again. A little bit different than what it was before, I'm sure. Not exactly the same. Never is the same twice again. But just a quick way to show you how easy it is to edit these photos. You're not doing anything destructive to your original photos, so you can't really hurt anything doing this. It's nothing to be afraid of, and it's a great way to really improve your photography quite a bit and give you the power to unlock what your camera is actually capturing. Because, you know, the processing in the camera is good in some cases, but sometimes it just gets it wrong, and it's really nice to be able to edit them yourself. So thanks for watching this edit video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, let me know. I'll do some more of these. If there's something particular you want to learn more about, a particular feature, whatever it may be, let me know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this episode of Beer Geek Photography. I'm Wes, and we'll see you again real soon. Cheers.